Betrayers of Kamigawa was the second set in Kamigawa block, and it told a story of shifting allegiances and cosmic consequences. Years earlier, magical aftershocks from the apocalypse chime on Ulgrotha had weakened the veil separating Kamigawa's realms. Konda and his moonfolk collaborators performed a forbidden ritual, ripping a piece of Okagachi into the mortal plane. In response, the Kami grew violent. What were once benevolent spirits began attacking villages and cities, all driven by one purpose: reclaiming that which was taken. By betrayers, the Kami War had raged for decades, and the conflict was escalating. The Ronin samurai Toshiro Umezawa, Magic's first black-aligned protagonist, was in deeper than ever, juggling allegiances between Princess Michiko Konda and the Myojin of Night's Reach. He stayed true to one goal: survival. Michiko, meanwhile, sought answers about the Kami's rage. Through these characters, Betrayers pushed deeper into themes of loyalty and identity. One new mystery was what happens to mortal souls killed in a war against the spirits. On Kamigawa, death was no longer rest. The fallen risked returning as Kami themselves, caught between mortal past and spiritual rebirth. Okagachi's arrival loomed too. The war reached its climax when Michiko, aided by Toshiro and others, freed the stolen Kami fragment. In the final battle, Okagachi and Lord Konda were defeated, but the victory came at a cost. The boundary between realms collapsed, merging Kamigawa into a single, permanently altered world. To convey this story, Betrayers added new mechanics, continuing the block's focus on spirit world magic and martial arts. The set's flagship mechanic was ninjutsu. This ability, appearing only on ninja creatures, lets you swap an unblocked attacker for a ninja in hand, capturing a sneaky ambush-style aesthetic. Prior to the release of Betrayers, players had begged for ninjas, and finally they arrived. Well, sort of. Much like how Scourge hyped itself as a dragon set, but included few dragons, Betrayers offered just 8 ninjas. Only 2 were rares. Thankfully, Ninja of the Deep Hours salvaged the tribe's legacy somewhat. Overall, however, Ninja Tribal fell flat. That said, ninjutsu is still probably the most inventive and influential ability in the entire block. So, how did it come to be? From early in Betrayer's design, 2 things were clear. Ninjas were happening, and they'd be blue and black. The team wanted a signature mechanic for them, just like Bushido for samurai. Richard Garfield's first pitch was to give ninjas enter the battlefield abilities, representing scrappy hit-and-run tactics. The team also tried flash ninjas and creatures with damage-triggered effects. None felt right. Designer Aaron Forsyth pushed to bring back Shadow for unblockability, but it felt too restrictive. Finally, Mark Rosewater reframed the problem. What did players expect from a magic ninja? Surprise, deception, trickery. His breakthrough idea was letting ninjas swap in mid-combat after blockers were declared. Returning the original attacker to hand preserved the ninja in disguise flavor and synergized with ETB triggers. An unexpected bonus emerged. Players became paranoid about every small attacker. Was it secretly a ninja? The mechanic's first test card turned out to be a small blue ninja that drew a card on damage, what became Ninja of the Deep Hours. It's probably the best ninja in Betrayers, and it remains a pauper staple. And thus ninjutsu was born. Ultimately, ninjutsu became a great mechanic, one that has since been iterated on in creative ways through cards like Yuriko and Kaito Bane of Nightmares. But getting there took trial, error, and lots of late tweaks. The other new keyword in the set, Offering, let you sacrifice creatures to help cast big spirits. This ability appeared on a cycle of legendary patron creatures, one for each of the plane's main races. Offering was sort of like a typal proto-emerge. The problem was that Kamigawa wasn't a tribal block, so outside of limited and casual play, Offering didn't land. Then there were the other card cycles. First, there were arcane instants that spliced by paying non-mana costs, like discarding a card. Then there were the Baku, common spirits accumulating key counters whenever you cast spirit or arcane spells. You could later spend these key counters for small effects. Flip creatures returned. This time they began as 2/2 humans and transformed into legendary spirits after earning key counters from spirit and arcane spells. The Genju were auras that turned lands into creatures. If the land died, the Genju returned to hand. Genju of the Fields enabled infinite life combos, and Genju of the Spires saw play in red deck wins. There was also a cycle of 1-mana 1/1 spirits with sacrifice abilities. The Urza block lobotomy spells were reprinted. Each features an exile effect that strips all copies of a card, with Sowing Salt in particular showing up occasionally in competitive play as an answer to decks like Tron. There was also a small vertical cycle, meaning one across rarities rather than colors. They were 3 blue flying creatures with target me once protection. The rare gave your whole board this defensive shield, earning it a spot in some modern merfolk decks for many years. Finally, and most importantly, there were the shoals. These were Kamigawa's take on pitch spells. Inspired by Force of Will, these X spells let you exile a same color card to cast them for free, with X matching the mana value of the exiled card. The design barely changed from first draft to print, a rarity for R&D. Blazing Shoal barely made it through a single modern event before earning a ban, thanks to its role in blistering infect kills. People would exile high mana value cards like Progenitus, allowing them to win the game as early as turn 2. Yet the other 4 shoals have all found homes across many formats, from Commander to Legacy. Shining Shoal redirects damage in tricky ways. Disrupting Shoal offers a unique counterspell effect. Sickening Shoal is a kill spell, and the life-gaining Nourishing Shoal sometimes shows up in combo decks. Unlike most free spell mechanics that eventually spiral into abuse, the unique pitch cost tied to an X value proved surprisingly elegant. It adds just enough friction to make things interesting, rewarding clever deck construction without being completely broken, though it can still come close. Overall, while Betrayers lacked a deep bench of standard staples, its best cards remain fixtures in Modern, Commander, and Pauper. For example, Tendo Icebridge offered one-time 5-color fixing, making it useful in some combo decks. Threads of Disloyalty became a nifty sideboard tool for stealing small creatures like Tarmogoyf or Dark Confidant. Bokori Dust Drinker is a winter orb on legs, key for resource denial decks. Goryo's Vengeance reanimates legendary creatures, wreaking havoc when paired with the likes of Grizzlebrand and Atraxa. Flames of the Bloodhand was an early burn spell that shut down life gain. Shuko is a 1-mana equipment with a 0-mana equip cost. This made it very powerful in Cephalid Breakfast and Nadu decks. Its price went through the roof after the release of Modern Horizons 3. Mirror Gallery allows multiple copies of the same legend. Higure, the Still Wind, is a ninja tutor and unblockable enabler. Sway of the Stars offers a massive board reset. Yomiji, who bars the way, is known for beautiful flavor text. Tallow Wisp is a fun aura tutor with spirit synergy. And Crack the Earth is a 1-mana edict for permanence, used in Pox-style decks. But the card that truly defined Betrayers was Umezawa's Jitte. Originally a $2 throw-in, Jitte skyrocketed as players realized how oppressive it was in combat. First cracked in a mono-black Rats precon, Jitte wasted no time in warping games and formats alike. It was a menace in Standard, anchored creature decks in Legacy, and got itself banned in Modern from the format's inception. In fact, during Kamigawa Standard, some players started running the equipment Manriki Gusari purely to destroy opposing Jittes. It may not be Magic's single strongest equipment, Skullclamp probably takes that crown, but unlike that infamous design blunder, Jitte wasn't an accident. To be honest, it's a brilliant design. It avoids the anti-interactive pitfalls of the sword cycle, and doesn't overshadow creature cards the way Batterskull or Cauldra Complete sometimes do. Instead, Jitte rewards actual combat. It enables smart play, and it elevates aggro decks without necessarily breaking them. That rare combination of power, flexibility, and relative fairness gives it a lasting home in every format where it's allowed. While it remains to be seen whether it's balanced enough for today's Modern, there is certainly a subset of fans clamoring for Jitte to be unbanned in the format. The immediate tournament impact of Betrayers as a whole was a mixed bag. In Limited, the set added fun twists but didn't shake things up much. When Saviors arrived, the block's draft format fell apart entirely. Standard wasn't great either. While there were a few rogue brews like Ebony Owl Netsuke decks, Kamigawa in general couldn't hold its own next to Mirrodin. After Onslaught and Mirrodin's highs, Kamigawa felt underpowered and thin by comparison. For many players, this was when they left Magic. One lasting design lesson from Kamigawa was that making every rare creature legendary was a mistake. The idea was to loudly reinforce the set's legendary theme, but it diluted excitement, stretched design space thin, and barely showed up at common rarity, making the theme feel absent in Limited. This experience produced a crucial R&D lesson still quoted today. If your theme doesn't show up at common, it isn't really your theme. In the end, Betrayers of Kamigawa was strange, uneven, and yet deeply atmospheric. It didn't fix the block's mechanical pitfalls, and it certainly didn't win back the players turned off by champions, but it doubled down on mood and identity. Even its failures are oddly beautiful. The jank, the jarring mechanics, the moments where theme overtakes playability, all of it adds to the sense of a set designed with conviction, if not precision. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, subscribe, and consider joining my Patreon, and I'll see you in the next video.